Hello, this is Abram Pilch with Laptop Magazine, and we're here today with the CTL 2goPad SL10 Slate. This is a 10.1-inch Windows 7 tablet that retails for $4.99, and fairly unique among Windows 7 tablets. It actually has a capacitive touch screen, which means it supports multi-touch gestures. It has a 1.6 gigahertz Atom N450 CPU inside, the same kind you see in a lot of netbooks these days. It's got 2 gigabytes of RAM, a 250 gigabyte 5400 RPM hard drive inside, as opposed to just some flash memory, and it also has runs Windows 7 Home Premium. Now, just taking a quick look around it before we get into the operating system, you'll see here on the front we've got a front-facing 1.3 megapixel webcam, which did really well on our tests, good low light performance. We've obviously got our screen over here, and on the side here we've got a couple of touch-sensitive buttons. This here launches settings. These are up and down buttons that if you want to scroll or you're in some kind of menu, they will work like the up and down arrow keys. And here's an OK button that basically works like hitting the Enter key, and that can be useful in various parts of Windows. Just taking a quick tour around here, you can see this is a fairly thick device, 0.72 inches, and a lot thicker than the iPad. On the top here we have our power button and a little battery light. We've got a vent, something to keep in mind. This does have a fan in it, and the fan does make noise. It's not pleasant, but you can certainly hear it. And here on the left side, we've got a bunch of ports. We've got an Ethernet port over here. We've got a mini VGA out. It doesn't come with a cable for this, but if you buy one, you can connect it to any VGA port, so that's kind of neat. 2 USB ports, so you could connect a keyboard and a mouse at the same time if you want. Audio in and out, and behind this door over here there's a memory card reader. So quite a bit of expansion possibility over here, and here's our power port. And just taking a quick look on the back, you can see it's got this kind of nice soft rubberized material that is really pleasant to the touch. However, we did find that the middle area of the back here does get warm during use. You probably wouldn't have your fingers on this spot here, but this can get up to about 106 degrees. The sides, where you'd most likely be gripping it, get to about 89. So let's actually take a look at the system. It runs Windows 7 Home Premium, but when you boot up, unless you have uninstalled it or disabled it, it launches a shell over Windows 7 called EasyBits Quick. And EasyBits Quick is a tab-based interface that has a few tabs on it with a few shortcuts. It draws them rather slowly. You can add your own tabs and your own shortcuts. We actually found this to be a little bit more trouble than it's worth, because it doesn't by default have any new programs that you install. Those just go onto the Start menu for Windows, and to be honest, it just, it was just easier to go into the Start menu. As touch unfriendly as the Start menu might be, everything is on it. And of course you can't see your desktop here in EasyBits Quick unless you go and tap the desktop icon and it shows you what's on your desktop. But we would rather, to be honest, just close this and get straight to the regular Windows 7 desktop. Now, the problem with Windows 7, as many of you know, is that even though it supports touch natively, it is not the best system for touch because of things like the virtual keyboard. So, for example, let's say we need to type into our into our web browser. Well, you see that I tapped on the address bar field here, and rather than bringing up a keyboard by default like Android would do, it shows me this little icon, and then I can tap on the icon, and then I have my keyboard. So that's an extra tap. And then once I'm on the keyboard, well, here in this case the keyboard is nicely positioned, but a lot of times if you're typing text into the middle of the screen, the keyboard might even be on top of your text. And if you want the keyboard to be wider, you may dock it at the top or bottom of the screen, and then it eats up most of your screen real estate. Now, if you were typing in Word or something and you're trying to type here, well, you might not even see what you're typing because it might be buried under the keyboard. So that's one issue that's inherent in Windows, but CTL hasn't done anything to solve it. We do appreciate, though, that the multi-touch works well on this. Here I've got Windows Paint. You can see it's also really difficult to resize Windows using touch. Again, not the hardware's fault, but the software's. But you can see I can actually draw two circles at once because of the wonderful capacitive touchscreen, and it works. So what we've seen here is, there are inherent limitations to Windows 7. It's hard, for example, sometimes to target the little X's here in the corner of a window, to drag icons around. You can't always do it so as easily as you would like. There, I managed to do it. And the keyboard isn't so great. But this system runs Windows pretty well. It's got capacitive touch, which is very responsive. And this webcam over here, if I can launch my Skype or something, you'll see actually is pretty good. But you can see as I'm doing this that using the start menu isn't necessarily the easiest way to navigate. Here we are in the Skype's options menu just to get a flavor for how well the webcam works. And if you can see on the video, my picture is bright, sharp, and this actually worked really well when I was indoors in my living room in very dim light, and it worked well. So the webcam is good. The conferencing experience is very good. It's media playback that we've had some issues with kind of poor sound and some jerky video. But for conferencing, this tablet is really good. All told, this system, is maybe the best consumer Windows tablet that we've used, but that's not saying a lot. It gets 3 hours and 15 minutes of battery life, which is better than something like the netbook Navigator Nav9, which got 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's not always easy to use the Windows 7 touch interface, and the media playback isn't great, and it also weighs 2 pounds. It's a little heavy to hold in your hand. For those reasons, this thing may not be as good a choice as something like the iPad or the Galaxy Tab if you're looking for an all-purpose tablet for media consumption or productivity. But if you want a Windows 7 tablet that runs Windows 7, this is the best that we've seen.